Chandu, what is a cookie? Password also. So you mean to say that this one, right? So when I type the first letter, say one, it's not displaying anything. Here, when I type something, when I put the cursor in the text, second text field where you are supposed to enter the name, it is showing me all the previously entered names: Parameshwar, Varma, Sujan, Bharat, KBC, all these things, right? So this is because of what? Something called cookie, right? So what is a cookie means by definition? A cookie on of information stored on client machine. Remember, in a web application, we have client server environment. We will have client machines and server machines, right? But where is this cookie going to be stored? It is going to be stored on the client machine. It is going to create means your web application itself on the server is going to create. But instead of storing it on the server, it will store it on the local machine, that is the client machine, right? So if it has to store cookies for every user on the server, cookie information will become large in size. So and forget about being large, but it is difficult to maintain all the cookies of all the users because every user will be using a lot of other things daily, browsers. So we are using a lot of cookies, lot of information, lot of information will be there in the phone. So instead of maintaining the information about each and every client on the server, cookie will be stored alternatively on the client machine. Right? For every particular user, whatever data is going to enter in the form, it can be stored in the form of cookies in the local machine itself. So next time when he wants to use that same information, he will not type that complete name. Right? If you type the first letter or even if you place the cursor in the text field, automatically it will be suggesting you previously typed names. So you can choose from among those without completely typing it, submit that data. So that is the purpose of a cookie. So it can be defined technically as a piece of information because it is going to store some information. But where is it going to store means it is going to store on the client machine. So alternatively, we have a sessions also. But session also will be used to store data just like cookie, but it can store more data. But the session will be stored on the server instead of storing the data on the client machine. The session will store the data on the server. So when you have some uh, confidential information that you're entering in the form, then it is better to store on the server instead of storing on the client machine because always we may not be accessing an application from our personal computer. We may be accessing it from a public computer, like when you go to an internet center or somewhere in college also, college laboratories or wherever you go. If you're accessing your application from that computer, which is not a personal computer of yours, then there is a chance for other users to know about your information. These must only be used to store only usernames or any other things, but not confidential information like passwords and all. Okay, so to store that, you can have sessions, but both these cookies and session they can be deleted and they can be created. Right. So once you create, it doesn't mean that there will be a permanent removal. The browser machines will allow you to delete all the cookies out. So when cookies are stored on your system, your browser is installed on a particular folder on your system. Right? So there you can go and see all the cookies. Open that folder and see system settings also, you can access cookies, run program, right? But let us not that the general operating system based option for finding the cookies. And all. We'll see how to create cookies using PHP program, and how to store it on the local machine. Also see listed all the cookies. Okay. So for that, so I'm going to show you simple application. This one, copy this, paste this folder here, htdocs folder. So this folder, okay, cookies. So we have created cookies folder. It contains all the PHP files. Create, delete, right? Next page, registration page, everything is there. Cookie store is there. So these programs are related to cookies. So this entire application, this folder is related. So let us open this folder. Let us open this application in the browser. Form collection. I need to type what? Also, I have the text file automatically. The text page will be open. So this again has some login page and registration. If I'm a new user, I have to click on register. Then say I want to use the username. Then enter my email ID. Then password. Register. So there is something error. So that's why it is displaying in the says try again here at the bottom. Click on sign in. Maybe I have already there is a user with that name. Right? Login. So this login and registration system is created just purely based using this on cookies. We are not using any database anything. So on the top left right corner you have a welcome and sign out button. Click on sign out button. Back to sign out.php which is not available. Is there a page called sign out.php in the folder? So there is no folder, right? So there is no PHP file with name sign out.php. So when your page you're trying to access is not available on the server, then you'll get this error message object not found, and the error code will be 40. So look at the description. The requested URL was not found on this server. The link on the referring page seems to be wrong or outdated. Please inform other of the page. If you think this is a server error, please contact Webmaster. Right? So why this is happening? Because we don't have the sign out page. Sign out page is not created. So when you click on sign out link here, what is this link going to do is it is going to redirect you to that sign out page, PHP page. But because that sign out.php file is not located on our server, it is going to generate that error. So you need to know about these errors. Errors 404 error is for what? So if the server is unable to find or recognize the page that you mentioned in the URL here, right? So currently the page we are in is home.php. By clicking on signout.php, we are going to signout.php. Right? But is that signout.php available in our folder? There is no signout.php. Right? So when that is the case, then you will get this code. So you can understand what is the error by looking at this code 404 error code. So whenever you get this 404 error code, you must understand that the page that you are trying to access is not available. Now, if I create a signout.php file here, then when I click on that signout link, what will happen is page will be redirected to this signout.php file. So now let us see first what is there in index.php, what is there in register.php, home.php, create, cookie store, and all these things. Right? So let me open these pages. Just close the previous program. There are multiple index.php files. We will be confused while switching the tabs. Dot, So in this index.php, first we'll begin with index. We have a style here created in the head section. Different headings, buttons, and then login division ID for anchor tags, everything we have created a style. So let us now go to CSS part and explore it because our focus is on PHP components. So I've created a division with ID is equal to login. Like that CSS. That's the reason why you are getting the browser. Right? So this index.php file. So it has two buttons, login button and register button. So this is the page that is open when we first access this application in the browser. So what we are doing here is we are creating a form that is given as post, right? And the form we are creating three input tags, one for entering the username and the second one for entering the password, and the third one for creating the submit button for login, right? So for this class is given as TF. This is related to CSS code, so it is not going to that. Type is given as text and type is given as password respectively for the username and password. For username, name attribute value is given as uname. So a uname entry will be created in $_ post PHP. Similarly, you pass for password. Okay. Then we didn't use action attribute here. Okay? We didn't use action attribute here. Why we didn't use this? Because we have two ways in which we can submit the form to a PHP code. One way is we have seen in the previous programs. Right? So you can submit form data either a different HP page or the same HP page, which the HTML form is located. Okay? So two ways you can do. In the previous programs, we have used an index.php file and we created a form there in index.php file. When we submit the form, because we have mentioned action attribute value is equal to collect.php, what happened is all the data that you entered in the HTML form has been submitted to the collect.php file. But in this program, I'm going to use the second way, right? So the first way is used in the previous program. That means you can submit form data either to a different PHP page. Different PHP page means what? From index page, we have sent it to the collect.php page. Both are different. They are not same. But second way is you can submit the same form data to the same PHP page in which the HTML form is located. So whichever form page you have HTML form, that same page you can write some PHP code and submit this data to that particular PHP code. So both the ways you can do, right? So if you don't use this action attribute in the HTML form, the data that you entered in that PHP form, PHP page will be sent to the same page, not go to a different page by default. Okay. So if you want it to be sent to the different page, then you can use action attribute. But if you don't want that data to be sent to a different page, you want that data to be available in the same page, just like we do it in JavaScript. So when we have written PHP JavaScript programs, after you submit the HTML form, where is the data being sent? Is it being sent to a different HTML file, or the same HTML file which contains also the JavaScript code? Because it is, as we have seen, we have written the programs in such a way that both JavaScript and HTML forms are located in the same page. So the data we entered in that HTML form has been submitted only to that particular JavaScript code in that same HTML page. So in the same way, we can do with PHP also, right? But we have seen the other way in the previous program, the first program. Now we are going to see the second way, that is submitting the form data to the same current PHP page. So when you are using the first way, we not save that first page as PHP page. You can save it as a HTML page, because you don't write any HTML code in that index.php file. You are submitting that form to another page called collect.php. So in that case, you can save that index page as index.html and PHP, and collect page as collect.php. But if you are sending the data to the same page, then the index page must also be a PHP page. So that is the reason why both index page and all the pages are PHP pages in this application. So I'm not mentioning this action attribute here. So instead, I'm going to submit this data to the current page. So when the current page is submitted with this form, then this current page must have some PHP. After the HTML form, you have written the PHP code by opening the PHP stack here, closing it here, right? So within this PHP code, what I have written is, look at this if statement. So PHP supports this if statement, else statements, if else if ladder, nested if statements, all these conditional statements, selection statements that you see in C and JavaScript are also available in PHP, the same syntax. Okay, so we need not discuss about these if statements and else statements separately. So if some condition is mentioned in this if statement, if this is true, then this block will be executed till here. If it is false, then this else block will be executed. Okay, fine. So what is there in if statement? We are using a predefined function called empty function. Empty function. So for this empty function, what we are passing is, we are passing as parameter $_ post of uname. We put it here somewhere, but I can explain you. We are using which function? Empty function. What is this function going to do is, it is going to check whether a particular variable or an array index, is it storing some value, is it created or not, if it is created, if it is storing a value or not. If it is having some content available stored in it, then it is going to return true, otherwise it is going to return false. Okay, so when that is the case, what I am passing as parameter $_ post of unit, right? Because method is equal to post, we have given in the form tag, right? And when you submit this form, this will be submitted with post method. So as a result, your PHP page will be creating a $_ post super global, and an entry will be created in that super global array with the index value, with index name as uname. This is the first one, and for password, an index will be created as upass, right? So if at all if that index has been created and is available, then this empty function is going to return. When this index will be available only when this form is submitted, then only this will be available, right? So if this form is not submitted, then will this be created? Will this entry be created in this $_ post? It will never be created. So when an entry will be created in $_ post or $_ get, only when you submit the form. Until you submit the form, uh, this entry will not be created. So why you are using this condition here is because both HTML form and PHP code are placed in the same phase. Then when you load this page, what will happen is just like the HTML form is executed, even the PHP code also will be executed, right? But we don't want this PHP code to be executed until the user clicks on the submit button. Only when he submits the HTML form, then only we must execute this PHP script. Otherwise, we must not execute it. So if we want that thing to happen, we need to put a condition for that. So when to execute this piece of code which is there in this if block and else block means only when the user submits the form. Okay, so let us assume that the user has submitted the form. Then it indicates that this $_ post will have a entry created with its index name as uname for username, and even for password also. You can check even either of this one. You can either check for uname or upass. So I'm taking uname and checking whether an entry has been created or not. So if it is created, what is it going to do? It is going to return true. So once this is returning true, it means that the user has the user has submitted the form. But what I am doing, I am negating it. I am negating it. That means what? This true will become false. And if this becomes false, what is going to happen? This will be skipped. This entire thing will be skipped, right? So this if block will be skipped, and then this also will be skipped. And what you are doing is you are displaying a message echo, and you are echoing it with red color invalid credentials. Invalid credentials. That is what. Let me show you the. So even before entering some data here, refresh this page. Click on login button. What is happening? Is there anything happening? Nothing is happening. But when I enter some username, the password, then if I click on login, I'm going to this, right? So we have written the code in such a way that only when you enter the data inside this form, then click on the login button, then only this will be the login button, the PHP script will be executed, and then you will be reading it to home.php file. So let me show you that. So this is inside if block. From here even this also. This is inner if block. Okay, this is inner if block. This else block is related to this inner if block. And are we having any other else block for this outer if block? We don't have any else block. So this if block is completed here. So this entire code starting from here will be executed only when this becomes false. Right? Only when this becomes false. Means what? If it is false, then it will be negated to by not operator. It is going to negate it to true. Then this will be executed. If it is true, then this will not be executed. Right? So when this will become true, the user has submitted the right. So let us assume that this $_ post uname has not been submitted. Then what is going to happen is this will become and this will become false, and this not operator will make it true. Then what is this going to do is it is going to retrieve that variable uname, the value that you entered in the HTML form, the username field, and store it in the variable user. Store it in the variable user. Similarly, it will retrieve your password and store it in the variable password. Then we are going to see ESET. We are going to use ESET function. This is another user-defined predefined function, just like empty function. This is another predefined function. So we also have seen a super global called $cookie, $_cookie. This underscore is important, so do not neglect this underscore. It is mandatory. It is predefined and it has underscore after dollar symbol, and you must definitely use it. If you remove this, then this will generate an error. Even when you are using $_post or $get, you must definitely use that underscore. That's the reason why I'm specifying when I pronounce this post and get. I'm not simply specifying post get. I'm specifying mentioning it as dollar underscore post dollar underscore get. Right. Even in case of cookies also, it is dollar underscore cookies. But for globals, it is simply dollar globals. There is no underscore symbol. Right. And so this cookie is another super global which will store all the cookies that we want to create. Right. So what is this going to do is it is going to check whether ESET function is going to check whether a cookie has been created and set with its username with its name as username. So what is username? Whatever username we enter in the HTML form with that. Right? So when I use dollar username, I need not use the colon symbol here because when I put directly this variable itself is a string. This is going to store a string. But if I am directly mentioning that string, then I need to mention either single quote or double quote. PHP strings are enclosed within a single quote or double quote. So because I'm mentioning the name of the variable, you should not put that name of the variable in the single quote or double quote. Directly you can mention the variable name like this. Whereas here, when I am using in dollar underscore post, because uname is not a variable, it is a directly a string. So I put a single quote. Even double quote is also okay. Right? But here this is a variable, so that's the reason why I'm not enclosing it in a single or double. So what is this ESET function going to do is it is going to check whether this dollar underscore cookie super global has been created with a cookie with its name exactly the same as the value of this username variable. So whatever username you have created earlier. So if this is set, then this is going to return true. Otherwise, it is going to return false. So if this is set, what is going to happen? This will become true, and this will be executed. This if block will be executed. And what is this if block doing? If dollar password is equal to dollar underscore cookie, right? Dollar user of dollar username. So what is dollar underscore cookie of dollar username? It is nothing but the username that you entered in the HTML form earlier. Okay. So this will be created only when you register, not when you log in. So if you have registered already, then this cookie will be already created, right? So then if both of them are matching, then there is another predefined function called header function. So this header function, what it does is it will directly redirect our page, current page. Currently we are in index.php file. Okay? So from this current index.php file to whichever page name you mention here as the value of this location attribute in this string, right? So to that page, uh, your you will be redirected. The user will be redirected. So if this is true, then the user is redirected to this home.php file. So for this header function, the double quotes you need to mention location followed by a colon symbol, and then this is mandatory location. Okay, then followed by a colon symbol, and after colon symbol to whichever page you want to redirect to that page name you have to mention along with this extension. And see if you observe when I run this program, if I say enter a new username which is not already created, I didn't register, so I'm giving a new name. Say I'm giving a password like this. I try to log in. What is it displaying? Invalid credentials here. So how this is invalid? How this is displaying invalid credentials? Because the cookie is not created here. So if the cookie is not created, if it is created, then this statement will be executed, and both the passwords will be checked. Whether if they are matching, then you will be redirected to this location home.php. But if it is false, that means the cookie is not yet created with the username Rishi, then the else block will be executed. So what is there in else block? This is echoing a message in bold letters, that is invalid credentials, and this message will be displayed in red color. So in the bold tag, I'm using style attribute and specifying the text color as red color. So that is the reason why I'm getting this valid credentials after login button. Right? Why I'm getting this message after the login button, below the login button? Because I've written this PHP script where below the form I've written. Where is the register button? After the PHP script, there is a register button. So if you have not yet registered, then we are providing a hyperlink to go to register.php file and then enter your username and password and get registered. Then come back to this login page and then you can log in. Right. So I'm giving a new user here, Rishit, which is not existing. Password is not existing, so that's why I'm getting valid credential. So what I need to do now, I need to click on register. So if I click on register, it will ask me to choose a username. So I'll choose a username. Then I'll give email ID as rishit at email.com. Then choose a password for it. Right? Click on register. Then okay. So because now I registered, I'm getting this message. Earlier I didn't register, right? So that's fine. So let me open this register.php file and explain you about this register. So this is the play page where we are actually creating the previous page index.php file, which is a login page. We are only checking uh, whether the username and password that we entered is matching with the existing cookies username and password values, right? But the register page, because this is the page first time the user is going to open and register himself for logging in. Once he registers here, then he can go and log in, right? So here what I'm doing is creating a HTML form. So we have seen in the HTML form what is there. Yeah, we had a heading, register heading, right? Take back to the page. What is there? A heading register, and then choose a username, enter your email ID, choose a password, then click on register. So this is what we have. So we have an input tag with a text field with its name attribute value as username. Then for email we have name is equal to email. Password we have name is equal to password. Then at the bottom we have a register button. So when you submit this form, even this form also will not be sent to a different page. It will be sent to the current page. So the current page you must have a PHP script. So I have a PHP script here. This is CSS code, right? So don't worry about that CSS code. And at the beginning we have another PHP code also here. So this must be written at the beginning. I'll tell you why. But before that, uh, after the form, we have a sign in button, right? H4 heading. I'm displaying a sign in button. So this will take me to index.php. Fine. Then below this PHP script is there, and we are using a dollar underscore server, right? Dollar underscore server super global. So we have listed many super global super globals in the previous class. Right? One of them is cookie, second one is get, third one is post. Already first one we have used globals. Apart from those four, we also have another super global called server. So it is related to the web server. I told you on that name, right? So this is going to store what means. Uh, you will have something called an entry called request method. Request underscore method. So you need to put this in double quotes, and there must be a mandatory underscore symbol between request and method. And all these request and method words must be in capital letters complete. So what is this dollar underscore server request method going to store? This is going to store what is the method of the form that has been submitted to this PHP page, whether the method is get or post or something else, right? So if it is post, then I have to mention whether I have to compare it with the post value like this. That also must be capital letters. So this is going to store what? The method that we use to submit the HTML form. So when you submit the form, this dollar underscore server super global will store the request method and with this index request underscore method. And if its value is equal to post, then this condition will become true. If it is not equal to post, it is something else. It is get or something else. Get there will be something called put method also. So we'll discuss about different methods later. As of now, we'll be using only two methods, get and post. Okay. So if this is true, when this will become true, if our HTML form is, then if it is submitted by clicking on the register button, then this will become true. And if this is true, then this if block gets executed. What is this if block going to do is, it is retrieving dollar underscore post of username and dollar underscore post of password and storing them in name and value variables. Right? So we have given name is equal to username here, name is equal to email here for email, password for password, name is equal to password. So we are retrieving only username and password, not the email. Storing them in these two variables, PHP variables, name and value. Then you are making a call to a function called cookies function. So this is a user-defined function that we created at the top. So I shown you function cookies. How to create a function in PHP user-defined function? Use the function keyword, give the name for this function, and if you want any parameters, you can mention them by separating them into column. Each parameter name must be preceding with a dollar sign, just like we do in PHP values. Okay, so what we are doing is we are just making a call to this cookies function. First parameter is the name that we retrieved from the username field of the HTML form, and second parameter is the value. Value is nothing but the password. So that means you are passing the username and password as parameters to this cookies function. So this cookies function will be called, and this also has same parameters name and value. So the username that you entered will be stored in this name variable, and the password you entered will be stored in this value variable, right? So inside this function, what is the definition? The first statement itself, you are making a call to a function called set cookie function. So this set cookie function in PHP is a predefined function using which you can create cookies. So this is the function which is used to create cookies. So how this set cookie function is going to work? What are the parameters? So you list see how many parameters are there. There is one, two, three, right? And then finally this one, four parameters are there. So let me tell you, these are all default parameters. Even if you don't specify them, also nothing will happen. I'll tell you about each and every parameter first. First parameter is the name of the cookie. Every cookie that you want to create will have some name, and that cookie will be storing some value. So every cookie has a name and value. So whatever name you want to give to that cookie, because later you want to access this cookie's value, or how will you refer to this cookie's value using this name? So there must be some name given for every cookie that you create. So if you want to give a name, you need to pass that name as a first parameter. So for this first parameter, what I am passing is dollar name. So what is this dollar name containing? Username. So whatever username we have given in the registration form, that itself I'm giving as a name for my cookie. So I'm creating a cookie with its name, which is same as that of the username that is entered by the user in the registration form, right? Then the second parameter is the value that you want to store in the cookie. So what value I want to store is I want to store this dollar value. So dollar value contains what? Password, right? So I'm passing second parameter, nothing but password that is entered by the user in the registration form. So that means what? You're creating a cookie, and the name of the cookie is the username, and pass and value that you want to store in the cookie is nothing but the password. Okay, so let me put it here. Notepad. We're creating a cookie. Its name as the name entered by the user, right? And then value as password entered by the user. Okay? When you create this cookie, this will be created with that name as username and value as password. Then this time is another predefined function, and the time function will return the current time. So at the time of creating this cookie, that means when you call this set cookie function, what is the time from your local system? It is 10:22 a.m. 28th September 2020. So this is a time, right? So from this time, for how much time this cookie you want this cookie to be available on your system. So you can set a time for this cookie. That means how long this cookie can reside on your computer. After that much time, automatically the cookie gets expired, right? So this third parameter is nothing but the amount of time for which you want the cookie to be available on the client machine. That is the lifetime of the cookie. If I specify directly some milliseconds, 1000 milliseconds, then it will stay for 1 second. And after 1 second, it gets deleted. If I specify 1000 into 1000, then it will stay for 1000 seconds, because 1000 milliseconds make a second. 2000 means 1000 seconds, right? So it will stay for that many seconds. So whatever time I want to specify, I can specify that time here. From the time it is created till how much time you want to make this cookie available for the user. For that time, you can mention. Here, what I am doing is the time is going to give the current time, right? So that is added with what? This 86,400 into 30. So what is this 86,400? So how many seconds does a minute has? 60 seconds. 60 into how many minutes does a hour has? 60, 60 into 60 is 3,600. Into how many hours you have per day? 24 hours. 3,600 into 24 is nothing but 84. For a minute you have 60 seconds. That way, how many minutes will be there per hour? You have 60. You have 60 seconds per minute, and how many minutes you have per hour? 60. So this will become 2006. How many hours you have per day? 24 hours. It will become how much? 86,400. So we want to specify 6,400, that is for 1 day. So you need to specify this many seconds, 6,400 seconds per day. And into 30 means what? 30 days. So from the current time at which you created this cookie, now this cookie that you are creating will be available for 30 days, 30, 1 month. So I'm specifying the lifetime of this cookie as this much. So time function is a different function. It is a predefined function. It is going to return the current time. So what is the current time at which the cookie is created? That is going to be returned by this. Okay. So for that I'm adding these many seconds. 86,400 into 30, which means 30 days. So this cookie will last for how many days? It will last for 30 days. And the last parameter that I'm giving, the forward slash, it indicates that this cookie will be available in all the subfolders in the current directory. So where is this file located? This cookies folder. So if this cookie folder has some other subfolders, subdirectories, in all those directories as well as including this directory, where this cookie can be accessed. If you go to other previous directories or any other directories which are not there in this cookies, then there you will not be able to access this, right? So if I go to this htdocs folder, that means I am out of this cookies folder. I will not be able to access them here. So to make it accessible only within that folder, can specify slash. And within this folder, if you want this cookie to be accessed only in some specific folder, then you can mention that specific folder. Say, if I have created another folder here, test, and I want to the cookies to be accessed only inside this test folder, then here I need to write the test. Okay, like this. Then the cookie will be created and accessed only within this folder. So if I simply use a forward slash, it will be accessed in all the folders in your application. Right? So that is how you need to create a cookie. So once you completed creating the cookies, then you are making a call to another function called register function. So here also you are passing say dollar name, dollar value. Right? Then at the bottom you have this function register. So you'll make a call to this register function by passing the same username and password as parameters to this function. And what is this doing? If is set of dollar underscore cookie of dollar name, if it is set, then this is going to display registration successful. If it is not set, then it will be displaying try again. If it is not created, then it will display try again. Otherwise, it is going to display registration successful. Right? So if this cookie has been executed, that means if this set cookie function has been executed successfully, then what will happen? There will be an entry created under this dollar underscore cookie super global with its name exactly matching with this dollar name, right? So if this is the case, then this echo statement will display in green color registration successful. Otherwise, it will display as echo try again, right? Okay. So this is how you create a cookie. So we'll continue with this program in tomorrow's class because we are running out of time. I'll continue from where I start today. I'm going to tomorrow's class. Please, if I by mistake if I'm going ahead or going to the previous topic, please let me know. Please remind me till where I completed today so that I can continue exactly from there. Okay. So please text your roll numbers, all of you. If I have not texted, please text your roll number. Then